Welcome, everyone, to this new episode of My Solo Chronicles. And today, in this episode, I want to talk about an event that I had been trying to go to for years. I mean, years. Even before I ended up moving to New York, to the UK, and California, it was just, I never found the time, or I always had excuses for not going. That was before my I'm a strong solo traveler type girl attitude. But it was just like I never got a chance to go to this event. And the event is Plymouth Ice Festival. Now, I will say, if you're from Michigan, I don't care what part of Michigan you're from, you know about the Plymouth Ice Festival. I mean, it is an amazing event to just kind of go to, take the family to, or you can go by yourself. And you literally get to see how you can take just a big chunk of ice and create art. That's the best way I can describe it. And when I moved back a couple of weeks ago, I wanted to try to do some things that were, certain things that would keep me busy until I get ready to do my big jump over to Japan. And I will say Michigan has a ton of stuff that you can just take in and that you can just go and do. It doesn't have to be anything extravagant, you know what I'm saying, like a sporting event or anything like that. But Michigan has some really good stuff, really good activities that you can go and enjoy. And once I moved back and I got settled, I was saying to myself, what can I do to just stay busy for the time being? And a friend of mine had told me that, oh, well, that the ice festival in Plymouth is going on. And I was just like, I am going. Now, back in the day, when I mentioned about the excuses, I never could find anybody that would go with me, especially for something like this. Because most people be like, okay, so we're just going to walk past, thick blocks of ice and ooh and ah, and then keep it moving, and then that's it. But this time I decided I'm going to go. I'm going by myself and I'm just going to enjoy it because I've never been. Now, my mom used to live in Plymouth, and I remember going through Plymouth. And Plymouth, Michigan. It's a beautiful little town. It's kind of, I always tell people, Plymouth is tucked between Canton, Michigan and Livonia, Michigan. If you're not familiar with Michigan, get your map and you'll be able to see it. But Plymouth is like this little town that's just it's just so cute and adorable. That's the best way I can describe it. So when I decided to go to this ice festival, I was like, yes, because I'm going through streets that I used to take my mom through when I would take her to church, So it just brought back a lot of memories and everything. But just to give you a little background on the Plymouth Ice Festival, this, and I didn't know this, I actually had to look this up myself because it's just, it's one thing to go and look at the ice sculptures, but I always think you need to find out a little bit of the history too of what you're going to see. So I actually Googled, the Plymouth Festival ice event, and I found out that it was created about 42 years ago, and it was created by business owners because they wanted to attract people to their downtown area, and not only their downtown area but the businesses that were within that area or which are in that area. And they have a lot of amazing places there to go, not just like that downtown area where you see the ice festival, but just the surrounding area. Plymouth is just beautiful. It was created, like I said, by business owners. And when you walk in, you get to see some of the sponsors because each ice piece has a sponsor that's sponsoring the whole entire event. And I think I went on the very last day, which was a Sunday. So I went on the last day of the festival, which I'm kind of glad I did because I would have been mad, like, oh, I'm going to go to the ice festival, and then lo and behold, oh, it's ended. But some of the sponsors that actually participate in this is like Tito's handmade vodka. I don't drink. I don't know nothing about Tito's vodka, but they're one of the sponsors. You have the Michigan First Credit Union, the Mayflower Towing Company, and my old employer, Henry Ford Hospital. And they actually had an ice sculpture there. So I was like, yes, Henry Ford is representing here. And then you have like the Miracle League of Plymouth, the Plymouth Canton Community Schools, the Saxton Town Lofts, and that company, Saxton Town Lofts, if I'm not mistaken, they just actually built this their condos because they wasn't there. Like I've been away from Michigan almost 3 years, so I want to say almost 3 years ago they had either broke ground for the condominiums that are there now, and they were starting to lay the foundation. So I believe the Saxton Town Lofts are responsible for getting those condos built, and they're really nice. I was like, oh my gosh, whew, if I had the money, I would so move into one of those condos. Um, and then it was, with the Lions going as far as they did, as far as the playoffs, as soon as you walk into the park, and the park where all of this takes place is called the Kellogg Park. I hope I'm saying that right. And it's literally, you're in the center of town. You're in the center of the town of Plymouth. And as soon as you walk in, you get to see the different ice sculptures that's there. Like the first one that I saw was it looks like a fireplace, and on top of the fireplace, it has Saxton Town Loss in ice. I was like, okay, okay, I'm interested to see what I'm about to see here, because mind you, this is my first time here. And as you go along, they literally, you know how you can go to a bowling alley and bowl, where they literally had a area where you could play different little games, but the tables and the little bowling lane were all made of ice. I thought that was so cool. With the Lions going as far as they did, they had like a throne that on both sides had a lion, and you can actually sit on the throne and take pictures. So I definitely did that. I had to do that even though I almost slid and bust my behind. Somebody decided to put straw on the ice, and it was just like, whose idea was this? Because I'm sliding, I almost slid off when I went to sit down, and it was like a comedy skit, because everybody that was like before me and a few other people were sliding, and they were saying be careful because it's really slippery, and then you got me and the people that were behind me lining up to take pictures were sliding off the ice, and it's just like, did you not just hear what the people before you said? They said be careful. Okay, great for paying attention. But you could do that, and I'm so glad I did that first, because by the time I got ready to leave, it was a crowd of people just lined up to take pictures on this throne with the double lion. Because of course everybody is going to rep the Detroit Lions. I mean, we're proud of our team. So, but it, like I said, it did get very busy very quick. You had different sculptures, like you had dragons. I think I saw two dragons that was sculpted, and these were big ice sculptures. You had sculptures that were sculpted like a dog. You got to have the skills to sculpt ice into like it looked like a Labrador. That's what it looked like to me. Just go with me on this one. But I believe it might have been sponsored by maybe um, a veterinarian hospital or something like that. I'm not for sure. You also had like the American eagle. You had, and I love this, there was a part where, and I'm actually going to look at it because I took pictures. I took a lot of pictures, and I want to make sure, everybody knows like what, the ice sculptures that was there. So with Henry Ford's ice sculpture, it had Henry Ford's logo, was actually sculpted into ice. I was like, and trust me, I seen that a mile away. Anything here before it, I am going to see that. And then the most amazing part, I think, was that there was a part not too far from where you kind of enter the park, where it was a whole entire section where you saw two gentlemen that were literally in a process of sculpting ice into whatever it is that sculpture was going to be. So you literally got to see them in real time sculpting different ice sculptures. I was blown away by it because it takes a lot of time, a lot of detail, and you really, really have to be focused. And I mean, these two guys were focused. I was talking to a lady that was standing there watching with me. I don't know who she was. You know me, I'm just going to talk to anybody. But we were saying how we give these guys so much credit for just being so patient, because you literally have to be so patient doing this. And it was just watching them at their craft was just, it was all inspiring, because I'm saying to myself, if they can do that, then all of us who are watching them can do whatever we set our mind to. And that's my story, and that's what I'm sticking to. So yeah, it was just, it was so many different things. And then, even though, you saw a lot of families there, which was expected, you know what I'm saying? Because I would consider Plymouth, Michigan to be more of like a little town where it's more family oriented. Not saying that all the surrounding areas like Canton, Livonia, Westland, they're not family oriented communities, but Plymouth, I think, is more family oriented, because I saw a lot of families that were there just taking in everything. And the best thing about this festival is, they had stuff like if you brung your kids, and they had stuff for kids as well. Because, you can only look at ice sculptures for so long before kids start getting bored, and they start, wanting to do other things that might not be fun. But I like that they had for kids, they had like a petting zoo. And within that petting zoo, they had about, I want to say, three to four, I call them goats. Don't quote me, but I believe those were goats. And then there was one miniature, I say, pony. You could tell this pony was so done with this ice festival and these kids and the adults that came with the kids. As I was walking past, I said, "Oh my gosh, it's a little like miniature horse or pony." This, I'm gonna say it's a pony. I believe that's what it was. This pony literally was up in a corner with its back to everybody. It didn't flinch. It didn't blink. It didn't even turn around and interact. It was like in a corner, basically saying, if I don't move, nobody's going to see me and they're going to walk past me. So I managed to literally bend down, pet this pony on the head, and just take a quick picture. And the pony opens its eyes and just looked at me. That look was like, girl, I am so over this. Get me the hell out of here. But it was so cute. It was so cute. But it never moved from where it was at. So, and then next to that, they had a horse where kids could actually, get on and ride the horse. I mean, it was a nice little area where you could kind of go in a circle. I want to say maybe about like three, four times, and then somebody you get off, and somebody else gets a chance. And I think that was awesome that they had that for the kids, because you want to keep them as occupied as possible. And then they also had, now, I'm pretty sure this was for adults and kids, but I saw more kids than anything, because us adults, we pass that sliding down on stuff. But anyways, if you paid $10, you can go on. They had like a slide, like a literal slide, where you could pay $10, and that $10 lets you ride that slide. You had unlimited times you can ride it. But like I said, you saw a lot of kids riding that, and kids love that stuff. Slip and slide or whatever, they love that, and that line was long. So you could literally probably pay $10 for that, put your kid in the line, and go and enjoy the rest of the ice festival. There was one that was shaped like a football helmet, and that was sponsored by the Michigan Athletics. Well, they were the management partner of Michigan Athletics and the Detroit Lions, and they had the M for Michigan, and they had the Detroit Lions logo. I thought that was so cute. I mean, the Lions was really representing. You literally had so many people wearing their Lions gear. I said, I'm going to get me something that has Detroit Lions on it if I can find, because I want to rep my city, my team in another country. Because we did so amazing. I'm so proud of my team. But anyways, there was one sculpture and everybody flocked to this one too. And it was a given. I mean, come on. You can't have a throne with two lions on the side without having, and I'm gonna try to pronounce his name, and I'm pretty sure people done seen it in the media or whatever. Um, the Detroit Lions wide receiver Amon Ra St. Brown, and he made a touchdown, and he did a headstand, literally. So I'm pretty sure you saw in the press where there was a cake that was baked of him with on his head, literally, in a headstand. Well, guess what? At this ice festival, they had an ice sculpture with the same exact thing. So I'm walking past and I go, why does that look like that's somebody standing on their head? And as I got closer, because like I said, that part was, it was anything that was lions related, there was a lot of people that was going to be standing around taking pictures or whatever. And as I got closer, as I made my way through the crowd, there's literally an ice sculpture of Brown in his jersey. And it says Brown 14. I was like, okay. I like that took skills. I figured if somebody can bake a cake and put this man showing him upside down, why not do an ice sculpture? I mean, it's only fair, right? So that was so cool. It was so, so cool. Other area where, and this was right near where you could pay for the kids to go on the big slide, and it was representing the Detroit Red Wings. If you're gonna do the Lions, you gotta do the Red Wings, right? And that was sponsored by Michigan First Credit Union. And the one thing, like I said, there was such a Lions theme. There was one ice sculpture. If I knew I could pick it up and walk out with it and not get arrested, I would have done it. And it was actually pretty huge. It was literally a lion, literally with its paw on a dollar sign. And even though all the other sculptures were just absolutely amazing, I really, for some reason, I loved that one. And, if you get a chance to go, you're going to see there's a variety of things that were there that just blew your mind, that you could actually just turn ice into something. I mean, who knew you could take a chunk of ice and sculpt it into a train, you know, or turn it into a mermaid? It's just like, who even thinks of that? I mean, there were sculptures that were just like a dancing shark. It was just like it was really, really awesome, and I'm glad that I took advantage of it this time to go and see it. And just to let you know, it is free. It's free to go there because you're literally walking in a park. They're not going to charge you for that. It's just to draw the attention to just the businesses that are there. And there were businesses that were there that were offering like free samples of whatever it is their business was, so that if you liked it, you can literally go across the street somewhere and that business is right there and you go and buy it, buy what you just sampled. As far as parking, good luck on that. Um, for next year. It's something to take into consideration for anybody that's thinking about, going to Plymouth and taking advantage of this Ice Festival. Parking was interesting. Like I said, I went on a Sunday. So that meant I ended up parking in the bank, one of the banks that's there. I just parked in their parking lot. And it was a lot of people that was doing that as well, because street parking by the time I went was very, very, very limited. And I mean limited. Even where I parked in the bank, it was limited. So if you saw somebody pulling out, you took that spot. That's just how tight parking was. But I was able to just walk up a block and I was right there at Kellogg Park. Most people parked further away. And even though it was cold, it was a good walk. I didn't feel the coldness for a while, and I was probably at this festival for maybe a little over an hour. And but I bundled up. I want to say a couple of days before it had actually rained, which was that Friday. So you saw some ice sculptures that you really couldn't tell exactly what they were. And somebody was saying that, yeah, because it rained that Friday, 2 days before I went, some of the ice sculptures kind of were starting to melt a little bit. And then the weather wasn't as cold as you would need it to be for something like that. Because there's one sculpture where I walked in, like as soon as I walked into the park, I couldn't figure out exactly what it was, but I wasn't the only one that was confused. It was a bunch of us that was confused. We didn't know if it was a female sculpture. We didn't know if it was uh Fred Flintstone from, the Flintstones, his wife Wilma. We didn't know what this was. And once I found out, okay, because it rained that, 2 days before, the weather wasn't as cold. I was like, okay, well, it might have started to melt just a little bit, but I mean, it was still something to look at. So, yes, so glad I got a chance to experience the Plymouth Ice sculpture. And I will say that, when I say my solo chronicles is not always me traveling out of the country, doing something major, something big. You can always do something solo that is so small, like a ice festival, where you're going to be doing that for like not even an hour, or maybe close to 1 to 2 hours. It doesn't have to be anything massive, just to get out and enjoy what activities there are within your area. And it could be, you might not be someone who wants to just go and do something big as a solo adventurous, but enjoy where you're at. I guarantee you, wherever you may live, there's at least one thing, if not two, that you can just go to and just enjoy. And that's what I did. Most people be like, Plymouth? Who goes to Plymouth? Well, I went to Plymouth and I absolutely enjoyed myself. And I always say, and I've said in previous episodes, this is just something that I checked off my list that I did. Well, you know what? This is something that most people will look at and say, oh, this is so small that you did. But I can check that off my list. I actually did it. And this time, your girl didn't wait around for somebody to go with her. She went. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I look forward to talking to you guys again in the next one. As I always say, my moonbeams, have a great rest of the day, and I will chat with you soon. Bye.